Welcome back to another episode of the podcast, my friends. This is an opportunity that I will cherish forever because I have my wife on the show. And anytime she comes on, she always has good things to say. We always have good conversations. So we're going to talk a little bit about this year, lessons we've learned, and how we want to go and attack 2025. Without further ado, let's jump in. Baby girl, welcome.
Thank you. Glad to be here. As always.
How are you doing?
I'm great. How are you?
Let's get a little updated. We haven't talked much.
On this.
On this.
I was like, we talk every single day, all the time.
Every single day. But we haven't had you on in like 40 episodes.
Has it been 40?
No, maybe like 20, but
That's still a good amount.
same thing.
Wow.
It's impressive.
Well, I don't know. I can't even think of the last time that we were recording, so I don't know what has happened. However,
I think it was right around our anniversary because we celebrated.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we talked about like a year of marriage and lessons we learned. So
That's right.
we've grown a lot.
Well, since then, I've been flying out of Mesa.
Very nice.
And you've been a trooper for being in Arizona with me, even though we're going back to Utah next month or next week.
Yeah.
We'll be back
next
there.
month.
And then
It's
I'll be
January.
more commuting to Mesa until I get Provo based. So I've been flying, not a whole lot, surprisingly.
You've been doing other stuff though.
I have started sourdough. You
Okay.
love that.
I do love it. Yes. It's the running
Takes
fuel that I
forever.
need.
It's
It is
been delicious.
Jinx.
You already have a Coke.
I already have a Coke, yeah.
But yeah, so it's been good. Last week was Christmas. And so it was fun. We spent with your family, obviously.
Yeah.
And I don't know. We did Christmas with my family the week before. So I don't know. I tried sewing, random stuff. It's been fun, but not all that busy, which is fine. It was holidays. It was kind of nice.
It's kind of nice to take a little break.
Yeah.
But it's cool because, like you said, you have downtime and you're trying new things, which...
I was trying Spanish. My app isn't working very well. Rosetta Stone, fix your app.
Yeah, shout out to Rosetta Stone. You suck. Let's get
Some
it fixed.
of the lessons work, just not the audio part.
Yeah.
So seems like an important part, but...
What else we got coming up? Team Tim.
Team Tim coming up February 23rd. That's a Sunday.
Yeah. Las Vegas, Nevada, rock and roll.
Yes. So if you would like to run February 23rd, sign up for the Rock and Roll Marathon in Vegas.
What I'm actually going to say here is if you listen to this podcast, you're someone who gets after it.
You better be signing up.
You better be signing up for Team Tim. Otherwise, don't listen to the show. because,
Whatever.
Yeah, it's all about getting after
People can get after different stuff, you know
know.
it.
Yeah.
But we prefer you getting after Team Tim running.
All I'm trying to say is, which we'll get into a little bit today, but like overcome the fears because
True.
pushing into the fears, like running into it, and this is
Literally.
kind of silly, but today on my run, I ran 10.5 miles. The last 3 miles, I like tried pushing the pace a little bit. And in my head, I was like, man, if I crank the speed up on this treadmill to 10, which is a 6-minute mile, I was like, it's going to hurt. I don't know how long I'm going to be able to hold it, but I was like, screw it. You know what? I'm just going to do it and run into the fear. Like I was scared I wouldn't be able to hold it, but I did. So anyways,
That's good.
Run into
Dang,
the fear.
you're cruising. I didn't
That's
know
what
you
I'm
went up
trying
to
to
a
say.
6-minute pace.
well,
Well done.
thank you.
It's true, and it's a lot of fun. I mean, it's a great environment. You'll get
Yeah.
your old Team Tim shirt, and you can hang out with us, and we'll just have a good time. We usually have a lunch or dinner before, get all together.
This is year 5?
Year 5.
Year 5. Mm-hmm. Boom.
So it's been so much fun this year. We'll probably still stick with the rock and roll theme, Team Tim shirts.
Yeah.
But
Kind of have to.
I know it's very fitting. Vegas is fun because it's at night and you're running down the strip, and so it's like all lit up. There's live bands and stuff like that. It's like a really fun race, especially if it's like one of your first races. Like this is a great environment race. It's like super hyped up. Everyone's going crazy. People are getting married from Elvis on the side of the road. It's great.
People get married?
Yeah. If
do
you
it.
see like people running with veils, they just got married.
Let's do it.
So let's get married.
Let's get remarried in Vegas.
Okay,
We'll have
I'm in.
Elvis marry us.
So it's a lot of fun. I'm really looking forward to this year's coming up. A month and like 20 something days. So
Yeah. Soon.
yeah.
But you and I have done a lot this year. We've grown a bunch.
It's been a busy year.
It's been very busy. And there's been a lot of challenges too. Like it not in our marriage or anything, but like we've both fought our own challenges. Like you were in Vegas for 3 months.
Right.
Training, you ran your first marathon. I ran a sub 3, I hit my first ultra. And all these things that like, I think from a distance, we never thought we could have done. But we just pushed through.
Right.
And a lot of lessons learned. But is there anything that you've thought of either reflecting back on this past year or looking forward to the next where you're like, oh yeah, I learned this and I want to double down on this or something like that? Like, is there a significant lesson you learned this year through some of the trials we've gone through, challenges we've gone through?
Lessons learned. Well, of course, there's like little things that you're always learning along the way. I think overall, kind of like our theme this year was like kind of stretching, doing new things.
Yeah.
And Vegas was a tough time. Obviously, I'm learning an Airbus and I haven't flown one before. And so it was like a lot of study, just a lot of grinding. And I think I think that's the biggest growing into August and when I started actually flying the plane.
Right.
I think what I mainly took from this year was that just like grit pays off. Like it gets super tough. We talk a ton about perspective. I know you had a podcast on it recently.
That's okay.
And I think
to hear your thoughts on it.
Well, perspective has really what's got me through like the entire year. It's been an incredible year, but it's also perspective keeps you present, like realizing that this is just a moment and living in the present. But then also perspective puts you like in 1 year from now, what's it going to be like in 5 years and 10, whatever. And when things were getting tough in Vegas, it's like, wow, but in 1 year from now, the Airbus is going to be like second nature to me and it's going to feel incredible. And so just being able to kind of put myself in a future position and being able to look back now, being like, oh, that was a hard time, but look where I'm at now. That kind of just kept me moving. Same with running, of course. Like I'm going for another Boston qualifying time this coming 2025. I ended up not trying in 2024. I only did one marathon in 2024, but like when I think about it, I'm like, I know the training's gonna be so hard, but I'm gonna feel so good like the day after, think about like the next moment, but still soak up the time I'm in right now. Like embrace the suck is really what it came down to.
Yeah.
And so what I'm excited for is knowing that I can go through those hard times, that grit will get you through just about anything alongside a perspective.
Yeah, I agree with that. And you really have to put yourself out there and like realize that in order to feel joy or feel happiness, like you have to endure the times when life doesn't seem all cherry and peachy, right? It's like, you just have to be patient with yourself. And I think you've been a really good example of that to me this year of just like understanding where you're at and being like with training specifically. Like I saw when I would go stay with you in Vegas, you had your whole, I don't know, what do you call the cockpit? You had the whole cockpit like taped up on your
posters.
Yeah. All these posters with like knobs and switches and stuff that she would have to learn. And she had it taped up and like,
I really dive in all in.
Yeah. How many flashcards? Maybe like 300 flashcards.
Probably more than that.
More than that.
Yeah. I mean, I think along with that though, it's like, it's all the nitty gritty and stuff, but we also had so much fun when we were in Vegas. Like when you come to visit, we'd be grilling it up, went to Illusions Museum.
Yeah, that was
like
wild.
all just like the different stuff that we're going to dinner, trying new places. Like there's usually when things are rough, like they're still good.
Yeah.
And so unless there's like a death that seems like there's no good, but then you also have like a community surrounding you and there's still positive things, but even when things suck. But things like the trials I went through today, like the trials, quote unquote, or like just difficult learning experiences where there was so much like beauty in it regardless.
Yeah. It's like what Jocko talks about, good.
Right.
Like find the good in any situation.
Yeah.
And looking back now, do you see some of that? Like with your Vegas training, like do you see the good that's come from it? Or during the time, like you just mentioned, when I would come down, we go try new places and explore the city. But try and make the most of the situation that we had. Because you weren't going to come back to Utah. You weren't going to start flying right then. Like you had to go through the process. You had to endure it. Do you see the good now?
Of course. Yeah. I mean, I knew it would pay off. Like flying is great now. Even the first like 2-3 months of flying, it was like, oh, I'm still getting anxiety when I'm going like flying. Not that I'm like worried anything's going to happen, but I just have this thing where I want to do really well. I want the captains to be like, oh, I'm not worried about this chick flying with her. Like she's got it, you know, like I don't want to be a burden. Yeah. And so I don't want to be a burden in any way. And so I would still get a little bit nervous, and I'm already feeling better now, but I knew it'd be good. And I think at the time I knew it'd be good, but definitely reflecting back, it's a whole different appreciation. I think our marriage was stronger even because like the times we were together was like so good.
Yeah.
And I think that
you'd call me, you know, with tears in your eyes, I'd be there to support you. I'd call you with tears in my eyes and say, get your crap
I probably
together,
cried
Brett.
all the time. But I mean, I had great friends in Vegas. Like I loved my classmates, people.
Shout out to Sam. If you're
Sam,
listening to this,
my
we love you, Sam.
my sim partner, he was beast. He helped me with every time I cried. I was like, yeah, he's a freaking beast. And so I think
if I died, you can remarry Sam.
No, what? You're not dying ever. I'm dying first, or we're dying together. That's the only options.
Fair enough.
But like we would go and play pickleball, and we'd all like go out to like get desserts and like different cookies, and so it was like fun because like other people are going through the same exact thing, but you're bonding off how sucky it is, and you're doing something fun to like combat it. And so it was like good. It was good. I knew it was good during it. I just cried a lot, probably.
Hey, that's okay.
Not like every day, but
No, you're a beast. You really
but
are.
I was nervous.
I would say, yeah, like you just said, nervous. And I think the theme for us this year is like overcoming fears, because we've both done things that have like really thrown us overboard.
No
in
nervous
terms of, like,
Nellies.
yeah, you got to jump in, all in. No
That's
nervous
right.
Nellies. But I mean, I switched a new position. I tried running and hit a sub 3, and then like my ultra, I had a bunch of fear going into that. Coming down here, to be honest, like scared me a little bit. I was like, I don't know if I'm going to be able to work remote, because last time I did, I pretty much had a mental breakdown.
Yeah, you hate being at home.
Yeah,
You're a big office rat. You love that.
Yeah, it's where
You thrive.
it's where I thrive. No, but I mean, like, there's a lot, and it's kind of the topic I want to cover today is just overcoming fears and taking that and going into 2025 feeling strong and feeling like you're capable of doing more than you think you can, and realize that fear is just like holding you back a lot of the times.
Almost every single time, I'd argue.
Yeah, and a good example is yesterday, 2 days ago, when I made my website.
Oh, I was like,
A couple days ago, I launched my website, keepgettingafterit.com.
yeah, it's sick. Check it out. Subscribe for the emails. They're already rocking.
Yeah, I'll send you emails. Kind of how it works is it's a weekly newsletter, just anyone who is interested. But I'll send motivating things that I'm learning, lessons that I thought are valuable that have helped me. Then also just share some things that are on my mind. And if you're focused on self-growth, go sign up, keepgettingafterit.com. But going back to the story, I had the website pretty much done for a week, maybe. I just go back and like make small tweaks, be like, oh, this could go here. This block can move over here, whatever. I just like make the smallest tweaks, but it was ready. And then in my mind, I'm like, I don't need to launch it yet. Like, I don't think people want to see this yet. But I was like, okay, well, if not now, then when will I do it? Like, I just got to get it up there. And so I launched it, and it's going to get refined over the years. Like I'll probably update it quite a bit, but,
the important part is just getting started.
yeah, you just have to get started. And once you do that, you realize it's not as bad as you thought. Like, yeah, there's going to be criticism. People are going to think it's stupid, whatever. That's their own thoughts.
You just know they're not getting after it. That's for sure.
They're not getting after it. And I always say getting after it, but like it really means a lot more than just like doing physical things or trying to be the best version of yourself. I think if you commit to getting after it, whatever that looks like to you, then you're committing to be the best version of yourself. And that's the whole reason why we're here, is to be in this school of life, learn as much as we can, and become better and help others.
I agree.
Yeah.
I think you're doing a great job what you're doing, promoting the right message. People just need to eat it up so they can get better.
Yeah.
It's been fun to see your excitement over it because, like, mainly like since we started dating over 2 years ago, it's like you were working on it and stuff, but it didn't seem like you had as much as like a a vision step by step what you need to be done. Like you're making your content and stuff, and it was kind of like only better content you're looking for. So it's been fun to see you kind of expand that into like, this is a business. Like this is like something that you want to like grow and work for. And so it's been cool to see how your goals have kind of adapted with it, like including a website, and now you're on YouTube, and like just coming at different angles, because I think that's with any goal you set is if it's not working, it's not going where you want it to go, like refine it.
Yeah. You just have to try.
Right.
You have to adapt. And
you won't know what you need to change until you get going.
Right. And I think a lot of the reasons I kind of put it aside when we first started dating was...
We were dating.
What?
Because we were dating.
Well, yeah, we were dating, but then also like... I realized how hard it was, and when you came into my life again, I was like, you know what? I'm just going to focus on my relationship with Allie, which was probably needed. Like, it was probably really important to do that, but I think I also use it as an excuse to postpone doing it because I knew it was hard. And I used it as an excuse to think that I was doing something good, which was dating you and like being the best boyfriend I could be at the time.
He was great.
Hopefully I still am.
Good boyfriend still.
Good boyfriend, yeah. But I mean, like, you know, there's room for everything. And I love the quote from Nick Bare: "If it matters to you, you will make time." And I had plenty of time. Like, there were times when I'd fire up the Xbox after I'd come home.
That's
from
so
hanging out with
funny.
you.
I literally have yet to see you play Xbox. It's so weird. Brett talks about he was some gamer nerd, and I've literally
Going
never...
over to my dad's tonight to play Xbox.
Yeah, but it's a boys' night, so it's not like I'm still going to see it again. Like, I've literally never seen it happen.
I have a secret talent. Allie's just never seen it.
He said he was ranked in Halo, but how am I supposed to believe that if I've never seen him play Halo?
It's true. I was so good.
Okay, yeah, sure. Whatever you say.
Fair enough.
I'm just kidding.
But I don't know. There's this quote from good old Teddy Roosevelt.
I think I say Theo Vaughn. I got so excited. I was like, wow, we're pulling him into this.
Onward.
Onward.
No, Theo will get quoted at some point. But today, Teddy Roosevelt. And this is like, if anyone's trying to set goals for 2025, if they're trying to pursue, you know, aspirations that they haven't before, or if they're looking to do something new, motivate themselves, this is the quote for them.
All right.
Which it now hangs around my neck.
Oh, gosh.
Yep. Here it is. "The credit belongs to the man who's actually in the arena, whose face is marred by dust and sweat and blood, who strives valiantly, who errs, who comes short again and again, because there is no effort without error or shortcoming, but who does actually strive to do the deeds, who knows great enthusiasms, the great devotions, who spends himself in a worthy cause, who at the best knows in the end the triumph of high achievement, and who, at the worst, if he fails, at least fails while daring greatly, so that his place shall never be with those cold and timid souls who neither know victory nor defeat."
Woof.
Boom. He's saying there just to go and try, because if you try and you fail at it, at least you gave it a shot. Like, at least you tried.
Now you know.
Now you know. And like, I think a lot of people, I wrote a blog post about this. You can go read the full thing, keepgettingafter.com. I'll keep saying that. I'm going to plug the website quite a bit, but it's called "How Will 2025 Be Different?" And we'll just go through a couple of these things, and I'd love your feedback on some of them. And then we can just talk about how it will be different, because if you don't expect it to be, if you don't try new things, it's not going to be any different than it was this year.
Right.
So whether your goal is to take up a new skill, improve fitness, improve your nutrition, like work on a financial plan, it doesn't matter what it is. Like, there's probably something nagging in the back of your head where you're thinking, okay, this is what I want to focus on for the new year. And that's normal. And I don't think it's healthy to assume you'll be perfect at your goals. Like, to assume that it's going to go as smooth as you imagine in your head, because it rarely does. And you have to be honest with yourself about where you're at. You have to sometimes look in the mirror and have a hard conversation. Like, Drew was on this podcast a few weeks ago, and he shared the story where he looked in the mirror and he's like, you know what? I'm just a fat guy. Like, I'm not as big as I think I am. I'm just fat. And he had to be honest with himself. And because of that, he's made some serious changes. But I would be honest with yourself, and then like you were saying earlier, see where you want to be in a year, 5 years, or a lifetime from now. And it comes from knowing yourself well. You've helped me understand myself quite a bit, actually. Like,
That's a hard thing to do.
Yeah. And
how have I helped you? What do you mean?
I think one is you tell me things that I never thought I was.
Like sexy.
Like sexy, yeah. No, but like you tell me like, man, you're so driven in all these things, and I always feel like I'm aiming low. Like I feel like I could always be going further, but
that's how I know you're driven.
I think from an outside perspective, yeah, I think I probably am a driven person. You tell me I'm an honest man, and I've always believed I am, but like you tell me that, and then it solidifies that belief. You also believed in me more than anyone else ever has in my entire life. And because of that, I've done my own work on myself and really try to figure out like what keeps the clock ticking in my head and what makes me go. And that comes through journaling. It comes through trying new things, like you said, like seeing if you can stay in the fight. Like if you're doing a new hobby and you want to quit, but you're not where you want to be, then just scale back and see like what you can do. And if it's a time thing, like I always tell people, if you set a goal for 4 days in the gym at the beginning of the year, but you realize that that's way too much right off the bat, then scale back to 3. And if that's too much, then go to 2.
Right. But don't just stop.
Don't just stop, because if you kill the momentum, it's going to be just as hard to start than it is when you are right now.
I feel like that's a common thing is like you run a race and then you take too much time off and then it's impossible to get running again. Like that is like kryptonite for me.
After my ultra, I was like,
can't stop.
Yeah, I was probably a little psycho about it, but I think like 3 days later I was running.
Yeah, you were a little psycho.
Yeah.
It's okay.
It's okay. Everyone's different. But no, it really is a thing. Like momentum is real. And I've seen that with this own, like the podcast. The less I post, the less motivated I get, then the worse my content becomes. But if I'm always on top of it, if I'm always trying to learn, if I'm always just posting content that I think is valuable, then it'll go somewhere and I'll keep that momentum rolling.
I like that.
So that's what I would say is like first start big or start small and then go big from there. So learn about yourself, scale up when you need to. But above all, what do I always talk about, baby girl?
You talk about so much. Consistency?
That was it.
Oh, got it.
Consistency.
Oh, I know you so well. It's crazy.
It is wild.
I think every single listener would have guessed that as well.
Or discipline. Either one.
That's true.
Discipline gets you started and consistency gets you across the finish line. So be disciplined with yourself. Start the goal, whatever that is for you, and be consistent with it, because it's the daily or weekly repetition that turns that hope of a goal into a habit. And I would say without that steady drip of effort, like if you're not constantly putting into it, that's where the resolutions become abandoned and you forget about them. And then you're like, you know what? Next year is my year. It's like, it's only been a month. Why stop?
Right.
You know? And so I have 4 tips
to
help with this. First, pick one focus at a time.
Makes sense.
Like, don't try and conquer your diet, finances, career, and social life in one. It's not going to work.
Jungling too much.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think we've both seen that in our marriage together. Like, we both want to do so much, and then we'll get sidetracked and
drop it all.
And our effort to the thing that we love isn't as strong as we'd want it to be. Right. So there's importance in that. Track your progress. You recorded a podcast today with your brother.
Yeah, who would have thought I'd ever do that, huh?
That's pretty cool.
I used to like scream at the fact that you wanted me on your podcast. Rip out my hair. I was so anxious.
Look at you now.
I know. My brother and I finally started our own.
It's legit. But you came back in and you're talking to me, and I wrote in my journal about just like where getting after it is at. And I looked at you and I was like, I'm proud of that journal entry. Not because of what I wrote, but because it's like acknowledging where it's come. Like 2 years ago, I was sitting at my kitchen table in Saratoga Springs, alone, cold.
Sad. Oh my gosh.
Well, I was always cold back then. But like, it's crazy to see, like, think about that time where I was just doing this podcast and I would record 15-minute episodes to
In a
now,
basement.
Yeah, in a basement. But now I have a website, I have a newsletter. Like I have a somewhat following. Like
A spouse.
Yeah, I have a spouse.
Cheers you on every time.
It's crazy. But like, I think it's important. The reason I bring that story up is because you need to track the smallest wins. Whether you use some kind of app, I use my notes app. You can use a physical journal. But when you're feeling those moments of stagnation or you're not as motivated as you would like to be, I would say just take a look back, see how far you've come, and recognize that progress and growth takes time. And I love the analogy of the oak tree. Like, it's a tiny little acorn, little baby acorn. It sprouts up in the spring and then it goes through some storms, keeps sprouting up, and then it eventually becomes a towering, looming tree in the forest, right? And oak trees are known to be strong, but they start as a small, tiny seed. It's the same thing with progress and with habits. And that's the power of the consistency, is like, it's hard to get started, but it's an exponential growth curve if you stay in. This next one, number 3, very helpful to have a spouse to do this with. But I would say if you can't, talk to your spouse about it. Get your friends involved, but find accountability somewhere. And so if you're telling yourself, oh yeah, next year I'm going to lose 20 pounds, tell people that. Like, tell other people that, because they will check in with you no matter what.
It's so embarrassing. I hate putting things out there unless it's for sure happening.
That's why, honestly, I do it with this podcast. It's like, oh, freak, now I got to follow through.
Yeah.
But I think it is important, because when other people know your mission, it's harder to quietly back out of it. Mm-hmm. Like, you can't just throw it aside, because people will check in. They want to know how you're doing. And you should be that same person for someone else.
Right.
Like, you are that for me. You always hold me accountable. You always make sure I'm making some kind of progress in my goals, because if I don't, I become a monster. Not a monster, but I get depressed and get all sad. So
It's sad.
Yeah.
But you do the same for me.
But accountability is super important. And Drew talks about this all the time, how I don't necessarily coach him anymore. I just write his workout programs. And every week we have a call where we go through the goals that we wanted to hit. Mm-hmm. And he knows that if he doesn't do it, if he doesn't do what he said he was going to, he'd have to tell me that. And he hates that feeling. And a lot of people have the same kind of story. You need to make sure that you're doing what you can to share that with others so they can hold you accountable.
What's cool about the Drew thing is, correct me if I'm wrong, I thought I might have overheard or been a part of this conversation. I'm not sure.
Let's see.
But that I thought Drew was saying one time how he would hate being accountable to you in terms of if he didn't hit his run, he has to tell you.
Yeah.
But it seems like he's making that shift where now it's he's mad at himself. If he's not hitting miles, he knows that he didn't hit those miles, and now he is mad at himself instead of just having to confess, to you. And so it's cool because it's really important to have accountability partners and being able to be held accountable. But as you continue to progress, it's you kind of start developing that within yourself, and it doesn't take someone else telling you to go to the gym anymore. Right. When you miss a day and you could have gone, type of thing. And so it's kind of cool to be able to see that evolve. I think it's always good to have someone kind of in your corner. It's been fun to see you and Drew, because you guys expanded your accountability from beyond just fitness. Now you guys talk about other goals you have outside of it, with marriage or financial or whatever. And so it's neat to see, because it's such an important thing for progression. But it's also nice getting to the point of recognizing it within yourself. Yeah,
for sure. He did say that, and it's definitely what I was trying to get at with that line earlier of eventually, if you're consistent, that hope turns into a habit. Mm-hmm. And then once it's a habit, you're fine. As long as you maintain that consistency, mm-hmm. It's easier. And no, actually, I don't think it gets easier sometimes, because there are days when I wake up and don't want to go to the gym. My body hurts, but from experience, I know that I can still do it. And mm-hmm. I think that's what it's taught me over the years is you will push yourself, you will do difficult things, and there's going to be times when you don't want to. Like motivation comes and goes. Don't rely on motivation. You need to rely on yourself and that evidence that we always talk about. The quote's coming again. Alex Hormozy. Here it comes. Confidence isn't built by shouting affirmations in the mirror. It's built by developing an undeniable stack of evidence that you are who you say you are.
That is a very good one. Thank you, Alex.
Shout out to Alex.
I think the easy part that you're saying, like you said, no, it's not easy. I think just the easier part is like the trust in yourself that you're not just going to like quit.
Yeah.
Because it's like after I ran my first half marathon, it's not that my next half marathon was easy. It's that the easy part was knowing I can do this, so I can do it again. Yeah. And so even though it like still sucks getting up in the morning and sometimes it's like really hard to like get your body moving, it's more manageable because, you know, I felt like this before and I've gotten up and done it. So I know I can do it again.
Exactly. And you ran a half marathon today.
I did. Just for fun. It's not as cool when you don't get a medal at the end.
It's still kind of cool.
On the treadmill watching Maverick.
Yeah. Shout out to Maverick.
Yeah, it's kind of sick.
The last thing I had on here is just celebrate the small wins, but we already talked about that. So that's important though for consistency. And when life rarely goes as planned, like make sure that you're doing what you can to adapt because you want to maintain that consistency. You want to keep the momentum going. Otherwise it gets harder and harder and harder, and then you're going to push your goals off. So this next part I think is important because I don't think you need to wait until January 1st to start. And it goes for any New Year's resolutions or goals that you have. Like, don't wait for the perfect time because it's never going to come. Just start now and work where you can. Like, I think when people say, oh, I'm going to wait till January 1st, like that's just another form of procrastination. Like, just start now. And let's say you want to lose weight and it's December 15th, then you'll be 16 days ahead of everyone else on January 1st if you started then. Mm-hmm. And like, it's going to be hard, but the question is, can you handle the discomfort and keep going during that time? Like, will you be disciplined enough when you don't want to train to go and do it? And that's the moments that I believe that will shape the overall outcome of whatever goal or whatever achievement you're trying to go after. It's like the moments when you didn't think you could do it, but still push through are the ones that matter.
Mm-hmm. I like that. It's like, I don't know if this is relatable whatsoever, but I think there's some quote somewhere in the world that talks about how
somewhere out there
that talks about how like when you don't want to pray, that's when you're supposed to.
Oh yeah.
I feel like that's very applicable in terms of like the times that you're fighting yourself. If you find yourself going yes or no, like should I go to the gym, should I not, this, that. If you're doing that bouncing forth, just do the thing that is going to get you better.
Yeah.
Like a lot, unless you're like sick and you're like Brett who's debating running 10 miles and he's like ill.
Yeah.
That debate makes sense. Like maybe do the healthier thing and
I think
recover.
It goes back to knowing yourself at that point too. Like,
that's one thing.
I've gone and I've trained when I'm sick, and you know me well enough now where you're like, you know your body, like he's going to do whatever makes sense for him. Or, you know, like if it's too much, I'll drop out.
Right. And that's what I'm really proud of you with your ultramarathon, is because that's when I really had to trust that you knew your limits. Yeah. Because like with heat stroke and you're throwing up every quarter mile, I was like, I started running with you and I was like, holy smokes. Like I would have quit. I would have never started, first of all, but I would have quit right once I threw up like my 5th time, right? Not holding down food, not holding down any hydration. I really had to rely on the fact that you knew yourself best. And sometimes it is important to have the accountability partner to be like, hey, call it if you're making bad decisions. Yeah. But you've been doing this for so long that I knew you would tell me when it was time, and you still finished and sure. You did really well. But with other races, like maybe it wasn't your day, you know, maybe Vegas. You were, yeah. And with Vegas, I trusted you to make your own decisions, but also that was more of a health risk with an asthma attack where I think I stepped in a little bit more than I did even in the ultra, where I was like, maybe it's okay. Like, this is not your race. Yeah. Like, it's not worth putting any health concerns on the line.
I agree with that.
And so all that just to say, like, when you're going back and forth with your debate, as everyone does in their mind every single morning when the alarm goes off, choose the hard, but be smart.
Let me tell you a story.
Let's chat.
Oh, this is so tough for me. Not really, but it's my reality. Yeah. So it's winter right now.
Right.
And you wake up and it's still dark outside.
Right.
And usually, you know me better than anyone else. I don't sleep at night, but I sleep very well.
In the morning.
Like from 5 a.m. to like 7, I can sleep great.
Yeah.
And it's so hard when my alarm goes off. And I think unconsciously you'll like grab me and like we'll cuddle for a second. Always in my head, I'm like, I do not want to go to the gym. Like this is heaven right here. And I do not want to go. And I have to be like, you know what? This is great. But I got to go do what's good for me mentally and like what'll set me up for the day. And then we always end our night together. But
it probably doesn't help, but I'm like, let's cuddle.
It's the best. Like it's
I can start going with you at the same time. That makes it easier.
You're always welcome.
If I should have nothing during the day, I like going slow. But
I'm just saying, like, you have to choose your heart.
Yeah.
And you, like, if your goal is to go to the gym and your wife like grabs you or you grab your wife, either way.
This morning, don't go anywhere. I'm coming back. Don't put it all on me.
No, I know. That's what I'm saying. Like, it's a two-way street.
I'm just kidding.
But like, you have to choose your heart, like you said. And it's I think a good thing to look at for the upcoming year is if you want to set some goals, like start now by choosing the hard thing and just get one step closer, because the momentum you start now will lead into the new year and make you stronger. Now I have the final part of this blog is called The Secret Sauce. And I'm just going to read this verbatim because I think it's a good way to kind of wrap things up here. But the real change isn't about sweeping transformations made overnight. It's about consistency, accountability, and adaptability. The trio that prevents you from quitting when things get tough. And trust me, they will get tough. But that's where the real growth happens. If you keep fighting, if you remain accountable, if you learn to adapt, you'll look back next December and realize these tiny daily steps have carried you miles from where you started. So begin now, resist the urge to be perfect, celebrate every step forward, and above all, keep getting after it. A year from today, you'll thank yourself for having the courage to start when you did.
I love that. This is another, maybe a fake quote. I'm not sure if it's real or not.
I'm ready.
Tell me if this is real. Is there a thing?
How would I know?
You might recognize
All
it.
right, let's go.
Is there a thing that talks about like a drip of water cutting through stone?
I'm sure there is.
For some reason, somewhere in my brain, there's an image in my head of water dripping over a long period of time on the same stone. Yeah. And if it drips long enough, it can cut through stone. And I think about that with things like this with consistency. And I know there's a story about being 10% better every day, like some bike team, European bike team, I think. But just being like, or the 1% better every day, even. With that 1%, or with like the consistent of the drip of the water, like something that you would never think could cut through stone, right? It's just the almost like annoying, redundant thing over and over. But it only takes so little to continue to progress. Like you don't have to set huge goals. Like someone who hasn't run shouldn't like sign up for an ultra marathon thinking they're choosing their heart. That doesn't make sense. But choosing their heart in terms of like if you're at a 1 mile right now, maybe you want a 10K by summer or whatever. And so it only takes that 1%. It shouldn't be huge jumps and huge difficult things because that sounds hard, right? But your hard is going to look different than my hard.
Right.
And so just giving that little drop every single day. And on the days you can do like 3 drops, cool, go for it. Don't kill yourself though over it. And then once you get burnt out, if you need to, go back to 1. Yeah. But if you're just doing a little bit every day, it's going to take you so much further than you can ever imagine.
100%. It's I don't know about the drops on a rock quote, but I do know one.
But does that sound real? Does that happen?
I think, yeah, for sure.
Oh, okay.
Erosion over years of time.
I was going to guess erosion. Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
That's what I was going to say.
But there's this quote that says, momentum is gained in drops and lost in buckets.
Ugh, I hate that thought.
And that is 100% true. Like, it takes so long to build momentum, but once you step off, you can lose all of it.
Don't step off.
Don't step off. Like, adapt, be strong when times get tough. And if you need to scale back, there's no shame in that. Like, if anything, it shows that you're strong enough to be honest with yourself and learn to adapt your goals.
Yeah.
And that's how you should attack this next year, is know where you're at, figure out where you want to go, and then start small and go big. Like, you'll get there eventually. And I never imagined in my life I would ever run an ultra marathon. Like, that's insane. Mm-hmm. But through 3 years of consistent training, I was able to do it. And the podcast, another one. Like, you have to maintain those. Every episode is a drop. And every week an episode isn't posted is a bucket of momentum lost. Especially in, like,
set that.
Yeah, it's like, especially today where, like, so much content comes out, like, you have to stay on top of it. Mm-hmm. And so any goal that you want to focus on, just think about where you can start today, jot it down, come back to it, track your progress, and don't be scared when it feels daunting. Because if anything, if you're not scared, you're not reaching, and you need to keep pursuing the things that scare you. So don't be scared, because it's all fake. Fear's fake, unless it's like physical danger, then be careful. But, like, all in your head, it's all fake.
Such a weird thought.
And it's not as bad as you think it is once you step in. There's one last quote, and then we can wrap up. Fear is a mile wide and an inch deep. Like, if you stood across a river that was a mile wide, you probably would not want to jump in. You'd be like, I have a mile swim. That's insane. Plus there's a current. No, thanks. It's only until you step in and realize that it's an inch deep, you just walk across. And take that idea and go into this next year and be strong. Like, if this is the year you truly want to change and become who you wanted to be when you were a kid, then make it happen. And don't let other people's opinions, don't let your own mind derail you from that trajectory, because we're all destined for greatness. I say it all the time, but everyone has greatness in them. And you've shown me that. Drew's shown me that. Like, everyone has shown me that. And not saying like it has to be a physical greatness, but everyone has something to contribute and make the world better. And everyone has a unique set of skills. So hone in on yours, refine them, and let's make this year the best.
I'm excited.
You have any lessons that you're going to take in for next year?
Any lessons?
Or anything that you learned this year that you want to really double down on?
We've been talking about goals a little bit.
Yeah.
It's hard to think about less and why it's allowed to carry on. I know this year's going to look much different than last year. Last year was kind of like a season of just like grinding, getting the work done because I was starting a new career, all that good stuff. So now I'm in my career.
Yeah.
So this year I think is going to be kind of more of a year of building. I want to work on Team Tim. I got to build that out. I want people who have never met me, my dad, anyone, to see the need to run for cancer. Yeah. See why it's so important to stand by those who are fighting their own battles. And
can I ask you a question?
Okay.
Since we're on the topic of Team Tim, what did it mean to you when people showed up for your dad?
Makes me like emotional. And that's like, it's one thing when they show up for my dad. That means the world to me. Knowing we have the support, knowing that people are in our corner. But I think I've come to like a different appreciation. Like, it's a whole different feeling when people are coming I've never met. Like, we have friends that bring their friends and who've never met me and don't give a crap about my dad, which I don't care. It's not about him anymore. Like, that's what it started on, but it's rolling off of being there for anyone, right? And everyone knows someone with cancer. It's a classic thing. But it almost means more getting to the point of knowing that there's people out there who need the support and love. And if they can run through our program to help others, that is like the best feeling in the world. And so I hope to continue to expand that, where people are running with just the pure drive of being someone's support. Like how you ran your ultra for your friend. Like, I love that. It wasn't for my dad, and I didn't want it to be, because there was someone else. Like, dad had his time to shine, and I still love him. I'm grateful for what he's taught me, and I still carry the lessons he taught me and brought it into Team Tim, but it's more than that now. Like, I want that to be how other cancer families are feeling, like that love and support. And so I really need to make it a year of working on like what we're going to do with this nonprofit so that other families can benefit through our runners. And so building that is a huge thing I need to really focus on this year. But building in general, like, we're going to literally be building, building our home. And that's where we're going to hold all of our future memories. We plan on being there forever. Building our family, hopefully, eventually. And another build that I was thinking of is, although I'm now in my career, so it's probably not going to be so stressful next year, was I just want to build my skill set. You and I are talking about that. I started sewing a little bit and making sourdough and stuff. Yeah. And it's been fun for me, but I want to be able to have skills. And not just because I think it's something valuable, but also, one, it's like a good way to meet new friends. It's a good way to just feel accomplished. Like, one, you have a community, but two, you feel so much better about yourself when you know you can do a wide variety of things.
Yeah, 100%.
And so I'm going to be aiming for that quarterly, just a new little skill I can do. It doesn't have to be anything crazy, but I think that will be really fun for me. So this year was embracing the suck, grinding through, getting it done. And next year I kind of want to build on top of that with the theme of building and with my race. I mean, I have that race in summer, and I'm not on track with that pace, but hopefully I'll be motivated as I work on Team Tim.
You're being honest with yourself now, and now you can make some adjustments.
Oh yeah, I need to make a lot of adjustments. My pace was not. My pace was. All right, I know I'm progressing. It's just I just gotta make sure I don't lose that motivation for it before the race comes up. Fair. So I'm really excited. I think it's gonna be a good year for us. I think it's kind of feels like a clean slate now that I'm like finally in my career, and maybe we'll be a little settled down. This year was a bunch of travel and everything. It seems like we'll finally be settling in a little bit. So I don't really know what that's going to look like, but I'm excited for it.
I love it.
What about you? What do you have in 2025?
Well,
what do you want?
I would just say being intentional with everything I do. It's like, especially with like the website and the podcast, newsletters, like all that stuff. I want it to be valuable to who's ever reading it, listening, because your time is valuable. Like, people's time is valuable. And if they're giving me the time to read or listen to something I say, I want it to be valuable to them. Mm-hmm. So being intentional with that, being intentional with our relationship, making sure that we're doing what we can to keep building it, because that's going to be a common theme throughout our marriage, is building every single year, our marriage, and building together. But I would say intentionality overall. Like, I switched positions last June, I think. And it's been kind of hard to be intentional with that, because like I've been trying to figure out the whole products and all the stuff that I'm selling now. But now it's like I understand it as well as I think I can. And now it's like I just need to be intentional with what I'm doing with my time. Intentional with the time that I spend where I have some downtime. So I want to be reading more. I talked to you about that, and studying more. And intentional with how I serve others. Like, I want to make sure that I'm doing what I can to give back. So I think intentionality is my theme.
I like that. Building and intentionality. Intentionality.
Well, building requires intentionality.
It's pretty good. So I mean, a good pair is what I'm saying.
Just like
the
us.
Two of us.
We're so in love.
Oh my gosh, we're obsessed. I hate us. We're foul.
No one's
going to want to listen to us.
Everyone wants to listen to it.
We're so gross.
Anything else, baby girl, before we close up?
I don't know. Do you have any races coming up? I guess what are your 2025 goals? That was your theme.
Yeah. Well,
do you have anything like actual
I'm going after my 250, hopefully 245 marathon in June.
245 is insane.
We'll see.
So I did my marathon last year, right? Or 2024.
Yeah.
That time was 3:57. I was proud. I wanted under 4. But the fact that the Boston qualifying just shaved off 5 minutes makes me so sad. I was like, I could get under 3:30 probably. Like, shave off 27 minutes. now I got to shave off like 32 minutes.
Yeah, screw you, Boston.
I'm scared.
But let us join. Draw us when it happens.
Right, exactly. So don't screw you.
So I would say that.
You're insane.
I'm going to run an ultra next fall.
Have you chose one?
I got to find that next.
What distance are you going to go for?
50 miler, I think.
You have to say it into this existence. Is it 50 miles?
Well, I got to see what's out there. But I'd like to do a 50 miler.
That's
I'd like to see if there's one. If there's like a 75K, maybe I'll do that. But
what does 75K come out to?
like 40, I think.
That'd be a good step.
Yeah, it'd be a good step up from 50. So that, and then I want to see where I can take the podcast. It's not necessarily a tangible goal, but it's like, it's hard to quantify that. So I'm just going for it. I'd love to close my first deal. I want to close my first deal.
This is the year.
I will close my first deal.
You have a whole year to do it.
That's right, baby.
Full confidence in you.
Well, that's what keeps me going right there.
I like it. Sounds like a good plan.
Well, thanks for always coming on. I love talking to you.
It's fun.
Cakes, you're the best.
Now I'm so much more comfortable. I used to literally be shaking in our first podcast.
It's true. We did our first one.
Look at me. I'm so still.
Look at that. Calm as a cucumber.
I have
cool
a little
as a cucumber.
a little bit shaky hands, but that's not out of nerves. I just am not very good at holding my hand flat.
You're just a little dehydrated.
I think I am dehydrated.
Yeah.
I feel very fatigued.
Half marathon will do that to you.
I just said I've hydrated better.
Yeah, well, lessons learned.
Yeah, left and right.
Well, baby girl, thank you for coming on.
Thanks for having me. I love you too.
Let's make 2025 our best year.
I'm excited.
And until that, everyone, keep getting after it. You want to say it?
Keep getting after it.